So we're back with another NBA 2K21 My Player build video for you, and today is a very interesting and damn near impossible one because we are tackling a build for Kevin Durant, Durantula, KD, the Slim Reaper. I mean, guys, this guy is a freak of nature in that he's so tall, he can do it all, he can handle the rock, he can play defense. He can hit the midi, he can slash, and I mean, he can shoot the lights out. So you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be satisfied with the outcome of this because sure, it won't be a precise Kevin Durant build. No, it won't, but it will be a serviceable build, and it is inspired by Kevin Durant. So come along with us. Let's check it out and see what we can get into for Kevin Pendis. We're putting him in at power forward. Now, you can either choose small forward or power forward. Power forward does allow you to get more badges, which is why I went the power forward route. Small forward gives you a little bit more athleticism, just a little bit. So it's your call. The attributes in general are really close. So I'm going with power forward to get the most badges. Right-handed, jersey number 7. Let's go. All right, guys, for this one, I actually tried out several different builds for this one, so nothing's perfect, but I think we are going to make sure that he can score and shoot a little bit. And as you know, once your player gets a little bit taller, your stats just go down, 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 down. So it's difficult to replicate, but I think for this one, we are going to go back to the good old blue-green with the bigger slice of the green for shooting for Kevin Durant. Click that one. And then for the physical profile, just to make sure he's as fast as possible, we're going to pick the top pie chart, which has the most agility. Okay, for the attributes, we're going to do our best to align with Kevin Durant's skill set, but we're also going to be trying to max out the badge points just to make this player as effective as possible. So for finishing, just max out close shot, driving layup, and driving dunk. Unfortunately, we don't have the points to spare for standing dunk and post hook. For shooting, max out mid-range, 3-point, and post fade. That'll bring you to 20 badges. Now you want to put free throw up to 85 because once you hit 85, you will unlock the 26th badge point. Okay, so down to playmaking, max out pass accuracy. Then you're going to want to put ball handling to 59. Now, I did see a lot of Kevin Durant build videos that came out before the game released, and a lot of them were trying to get his ball handling up to a rating of 70, and that's because in previous games, if you hit 70, that would get you into another tier of dribbling moves, but that's not the case in 2K21. Basically, there's 2 tiers. There's 85 and above, get the pro dribble moves. 85 and below have their own set of dribble animations. So we're not getting to level 70, or we're not getting to level 85 for sure. So it doesn't really matter as far as the animations are concerned. So let's stop here at 59 for ball handling. For post moves, push this one to a 68. And that will bring us to 13 playmaking badges. For defense, we're going to max out interior defense, perimeter defense, lateral quickness, defensive rebounding, and then we're going to put block to 68. That'll max out, or that'll take up all the rest of our attribute points, and that'll get us to 5 defensive badges. So we have 5 defensive, 13 playmaking, 26 shooting, and 11 finishing, and that brings us to 55 badges to work with. So that is really strong for this player, and I'm really happy with this. I spent a lot of time just tinkering, moving points around, and this is a good spot to leave it at. All right, now we will move forward to body shape. Remember, guys, when you adjust the weight, the thickness of the player does go with it. So for this, you know, I would say slight for Kevin Durant, but since we're going to reduce the weight, I would probably go for something closer to solid or even defined. Let's go defined. Might look better once we shrink him down. And Kevin Durant is listed at 240 pounds currently. We're not going to have him at that because it's just not going to make the build as good as it can be. We're going for like early NBA rookie Kevin Durant who had trouble bench pressing the bar. That's the KD we're going for. So we're going to go with defined here. Now, Kevin Durant is listed as 6'10". Even that, I think, is an understatement. I think a lot of us might agree that he's closer to 7 foot than anything. You look on Wikipedia, it says he's 6'9", but I think for the purpose of this game, we're going to leave him on at 6'9". Once you get up to 6'10" and above, certainly for anything that's not a center, you suffer some real penalties in your attribute points. So let's leave him here at 6'9". I know this isn't exactly Kevin Durant, but we want him to be playable as well. So 6'9", that's not going to change any of our attributes. And then we're going to drop down this weight. Now, you can go a number of ways with it. You can minimize it if you want the highest speed, which is 75. I would like I would like him to have a little bit more strength myself. So I think I'm going to leave him at like 199. So that'll give him a 74 speed. He'll have 48 strength, 71 acceleration, 67 vertical. So these aren't mind-blowing attributes, but as a power forward, he is going to be faster than a lot of players he's matched up with. So I'm okay with this. This will also help us a little bit with our perimeter defense and our lateral quickness, as well as give us a couple points for driving layup and driving dunk. So I'm happy with this. We'll keep it here and move it to wingspan. So Kevin Durant's actual wingspan in real life is 89 inches, a little bit less actually. And since we took an inch off of his height, I think we could take an inch off of his wingspan as well. So that would put us at 88-inch wingspan. And this will only reduce our shooting attributes by 1 point. It'll give us a point on some of our dunking and close shot attributes, a couple points on block, and 1 point on defensive rebound. So I think this is nice because it retains some of that shooting ability that he has, and ensures that once we hit 99, we're going to have a 79 mid-range shot. We're going to have a 76 three-point shot. So really serviceable. Of course, not at KD levels, but you put some boost on there, you put some takeover on there, all of a sudden you're shooting the lights out. So I think we're going to leave it here at 88 inches for the wingspan. For the takeover, as I alluded to, I would take spot-up shooter. I think you want to make sure that this build can extend the defense, can force opposing power forwards to come out, especially with this build that has a little bit of athletic ability and has some dunking ability that you can drive past them. I think having a spot-up shooter takeover is really the way that you want to go with this one. The build is complete, and don't mind this name. We have an interior finisher, shades of Gallinari, Bogdanovich, and Jason Tatum. What's interesting is I found that if you can have any name for what you've built, and these guys, Gallinari, Bogdanovich, and Tatum, appear over and over for different builds. I don't really know why. So you can pretty much ignore that name. But this is what we are going with for our KD build. And let's get into the badges. For the badges, we have 55 badge points to work with. I've already gone through and set them on each of the different categories. So let's take a look how I would distribute these for Kevin Durant. For finishing, the Holy Trinity again: contact finisher, gold; fancy footwork, gold; slithery finisher, silver, just so we can distribute some more badge points elsewhere. I like consistent finisher, especially with the shot stick. It can be difficult to get that aim right, and I think consistent finisher really helps with that. And then cross key scorer, I think just suits Kevin Durant's build quite a bit, kind of pulling up for those mid-range shots as he's cutting across the key. I think will be really great for KD. So that's where I'm going for finishing. For the shooting badges, we have a lot to work with. We have 26 potential upgrades. Let's get into it. Let's go for Hall of Fame catch and shoot, Deadeye, and range extender, and these are pretty generally considered to be some of the must-haves for shooting builds. So let's go with those. I went gold deep fades just because fadeaways are a huge part of KD's game. So we got that, gold green machine, and gold flexible release. And guys, flexible release isn't something that I've really messed with too much in the past, but this year, especially since shooting is much more difficult, I think flexible release is starting to become kind of a must-have badge in the same way that quick draw was last year. So if you have a build that's, let's say, anything under than an 80 in your shooting categories, then I think flexible release can make a huge difference for you. So I put that on there in gold. Difficult shots, just because of how KD plays. He can create shots and take tough ones and make them. And then I put gold on volume shooter, which I think totally works for KD. I will say that if we were playing in the park or something else, you know, in my career, I would probably actually put this in Hot Zone Hunter. But for the purposes of the demo, since we don't have any hot zones, I put this in Volume Shooter. So that's kind of a preference choice for you as well. Then we'll move over here to playmaking. Bailout, I think every build should have a bailout on there, especially if you're a shooting build. It's important to use bailout. So I have bailout on bronze, break starter, just because this build can get some rebounds. And especially if you're playing on park, you may be the tallest guy in your team and you may need to be the rebounder. So having bailout is super important. Went with gold, quick first step, gold post spin technician, silver needle threader, and bronze unpluckable, just for a little extra layer of security. For defense, we only have 5 badge points to work with, so my go-to for this is typically gold clamps, silver intimidator, which I think totally works for this. But I will say that if you're planning to be a primary big man on your team, if they're counting on you to be in the paint as a difference maker, you may want to take clamps off and go with something like rim protector or rebound chaser instead. So that's the badge distribution we have for this Kevin Durant build. I do have some demo footage of this build in action that we'll play in just a second. But before you leave, I would really appreciate if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel. All the support really helps, and I'm really trying to build this thing up this year. So thank you, and I'll be back with a little bit of commentary to round things out. So there's a lot to love about this build. First and foremost, it's a fun build to use. It is just a versatile scoring threat. I felt like I was able to really score from anywhere on the court, especially because I have good size, a nice wingspan. That really makes things a little bit easier when you're trying to get decent shots off. So I was able to knock down some decent mid-range shots, hit a few threes, and even get to the hoop and throw down some nice dunks. So it's a really fun build to use, and really it has enough athleticism that you never felt like you were hindered in any way as far as keeping up with who you were guarding or trying to get to the spots that you needed to go. I will say there are a few weaknesses that are pretty apparent with this build. It's not elite at anything, so it's a good shooter, it's a good slasher, but it's not elite at either of them. So you have to bring a certain level of skill to the table for this build to be effective. Certainly it could be overpowered in the wrong matchup as well, given the lack of strength for the build. But overall, really fun build to play with, and I think represents a lot of the things that KD does well. So I hope you enjoyed this build. Give it a try, let me know what you think of it, and we'll see you again soon for another build.